Have you already started with money? All right. Are we good to go? You're live. Can you guys hear me online? Just type yes in the chat if you can hear me. Good. Perfect. All right. Hello, everybody. Those that haven't met me before, my name is Kumu. I'll be taking you for SRMG today. The shortest of the tasks, right? So you should be out of here very quick. But many people say it's the most difficult, so I don't know why. All right, cool. Let me just see by show of hands. That includes you guys online. Who managed to go through the reflection video? Let's see by show of hands. I'm counting 0 in the room, by the way, guys. So you shouldn't be shy online. You didn't? Sure. Yeah, so I planned very well today, right? Because then I need to build some context. But it's very important that whenever you get these reflection videos, you actually go through them because it saves time in class and you've got context. But you guys had a very nice task, so I'll just get into it. Let's touch a little bit on the pre-release information because this is very important for us to know how to approach the task that was given on the day. So you had this slide in the pre-release information, and this slide was the pillar of the task that eventually came on the day. Do you know why? Do you guys know why? I like picking on people as well, so. Anyone who wants to tell me why they think that this was the most important slide in the pre-release? Why was this important? Yes.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
And tell me your name first.
Joelo Pele. Joelo Pele.
Okay.
Yes. So I think this is important because when we read the task, obviously it's involving like a shareholder. So I don't know, it's triggering things like your financial interest, your related parties, your fiduciary duties. So you sort of have to have an understanding of your shareholders, their position, what their roles and responsibilities are to sort of then help you to identify the issues within the task, because they were relating to things like ethics. So if you're speaking, I guess, to ethics, you sort of have to understand what is the right thing that that person is supposed to do, I guess, given their role, given their responsibility, and have they done it? So if you don't have an understanding of, oh, for example, this person is a shareholder, they're not supposed to do 1 and 2, or they're a director, sorry, they don't have to do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then you're not able to sort of then identify what they did wrong and why is it wrong.
Okay. I like your response, but there's one word that I'm looking for in everything you've said.
Governance.
Governance.
Yeah.
Right. Is it a swear word? Governance. Governance is very important, right? Because when you see this, you're thinking, are they taking me back to ITC? Are they taking me back to CTA? But then the question comes, what is it that they're going to ask me to do in terms of the task, right? Are they going to follow the same style? Am I going to have to recommend something? Here we were given the shareholding structure, and you were given percentages. It shows you how significant the shareholding is. And there we were told that Philip set up the family trust to own 100% of the shares. Okay, good. So we know, okay, you set up the trust. So what? What are you telling me? The trust shareholding reduced over time. So that means other shareholders started to come into play. As new shareholders were introduced, now Philip retired in 2017. but remains a non-executive of Fodjan. Right. Now you're thinking, okay, good. So Philip retired. Philip started the family trust that owns 35% now, used to be 100%, but remains a non-executive director. So you've got a non-executive director that is not independent, but it's not an issue, right? It's normal. But as you analyze the information you're given, as you start to break it down, you start getting some sort of hints, right, of where things can go wrong in terms of governance, how you manage a company, how you work through around, how you make decisions. So let's see. Again, you're given another slide, 6. And I decided to put it to put them side by side here because they sort of like talk to each other. So there was 2 slides that followed, and we're talking. Information was shared with you. And Katz, I call Katlehos Katz. So if I say Katz, you know who I'm referring to, who is a non-executive director and the chairperson of the board. Now you're thinking, okay, good. In terms of governance, I expect the chairperson of the board to be a non-executive director, right? Okay, good. But for good governance principles, I expect this person to be an independent non-executive director. Now, look at what happens on the other slide. Katz is an executive director of the RAC, let's just call it RAC, Empowerment Fund. Now, who's this? You see, now it goes back. It goes back to this. Okay, this thing locked. So just give me a second to figure it out. Okay, good. Yes, that's right, Suko. Shareholder, right. But look at that shareholding, 20%. If you think financial accounting, what does that mean? This person has significant influence, right? So already you're thinking, oh, no, this person can't be independent, right? They've got some interest that they're taking care of. So they are non-executive, but not independent. Okay, good. Then we've got Philip. Philip, we've dealt with Philip already. And then we've got Hernon Bosch, who is the non-executive director, but is the CEO of New Africa Finance Corporation. Now, I said this was a very important slide. Again, New Africa Finance Corporation has got 30%. Okay, there's a message for Freddy there. That's not mine, from Asanda. Then we've got Denisa. Denisa is the professor at a leading South African university and head of the School of Economics. Do you have a problem with that? I can't tell, right? Unless I've got more information, right? I can't say I don't have a problem. I'll just keep it in mind. Then we've got Ellie. Ellie is Philip's daughter, and Ellie is a non-executive director. Any issue with Ellie? For anyone who is online or in class physically, what is the issue with Ellie? What's happening with Ellie? I said Ellie, not Ellie. Independence, what about it?
She's related to Philip, who is the founder of this company, and
okay, so there is definitely an interest in there. Good, I like it. Now, we also have, you guys couldn't pronounce this. Is that Hajra, the CEO? And then we've got Elijah, who is the CFO. Okay, now if you look at the slide on the left-hand side, what does it tell you? What picture does it paint? Not compliant? Not adhering to recommendations. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Let's just see online here. Shumani, any thoughts? Who else is here? No balance of power. Nolo says something that is very interesting online. Nolo says there's no balance of power. Why do you say so, Nolo?
to have an interest, some kind of financial or self-interest within the company. So it's like they're not really able to.
They won't be objective.
Yes.
Okay. But if I think of governance and I think, is this a private company? Right? If I think of good governance, is King 4 applicable to them?
No. Well,
Are you sure?
Doesn't it use the applying something? So if you're not applying it, you have to sort of explain why.
But is it mandatory? Is it law? Is it regulation? It's not, right? It's best practice. Good. Now, this is how I want you to think about it. In terms of best practice, recommended practice, what is a good way to govern a company, govern an entity? Well, I need to have a board that has got a balance of power. And where do you get that balance of power? You have to have a majority of non-executive directors, right? Do we have a majority of non-executive directors here? Yes. But here's the problem. The majority of those non-executive directors must then be independent so that they are objective. That's the word you are looking for, right? So if I look at this, I have an issue already. And you're thinking in mind, if they ask me about governance, is this something I want to criticize? Right? You can do better. Now look what they say. The board of directors of Fodjan is of the opinion that full compliance with the principles of King 4 is not always in the best interest of Fodjan. Is that true? Now you're questioning, right? You're questioning the leadership style. Which principle in King 4 are you even thinking about? The what?
Principle 1.
Principle 1, leading ethically, right?
Yeah.
But leading ethically, you're not just talking about when they get things wrong. You are thinking about acting in the best interest, acting in good faith, avoiding conflict, knowing the laws and regulations applicable to you, acting with transparency, acting with fairness, integrity, being straightforward, right? But you'll see where this comes in. Now they say, for example, the board believes that the persons with an intimate knowledge of the casual dining industry are far more valuable as non-executive directors than persons who are appointed purely because they are independent. Now you take a step back and you think, well, who says that a person that is appointed as an independent person does not have experience in the casual dining industry, right? You're trying to run away from something here. You've got a goal in mind already that you want to achieve, and you start questioning the decision making of this board. Does that make sense? Okay, now why is this important? Somebody says the tone at the top, right? Because it then filters down. Now let's see what happens. You then get an email from your boss. Please see the email below from our chairman. Who is the chairman? Katz. I'm just looping you in as I may need some help in drafting or considering the terms of the agreement. Now, what are you thinking at this point in time? You're thinking, well, on the day, I might be asked to give input on the terms of the agreement. So what is this agreement? Let's read. Let's see what they're saying. I've got a proposal that I think presents an excellent opportunity to get ahead in the market, especially as the economy is trying to recover from the lockdowns. Okay, let's read on. I'm sure you are familiar with one of our sauce and seasoning suppliers by the name of Flavorful. I have a monthly golf game with the CEO of Flavorful, Michelle Watson. Now, the auditor in you, what screams out of this? Say that again. Yeah. Familiarity. Okay. You're saying that this person is already familiar with Michelle. Okay. So I need to know that this person is objective. Okay. Now, let's see. Yesterday, I had a conversation with Michelle that ended up with a proposal that I think has the potential to be really beneficial to Fodjan. And you see now, issues are starting to come up. Right now, I don't know whether Cats has an interest or not, but I know that there is something that could threaten their thinking. Does that make sense? Did you think about that? Did you think about that, guys? The guys that are online, did you guys think about it? You guys are protected today because I'm looking for the names for the participants list, but I can't find it. Ooh. Okay. Now, the proposal is that Fodjan enters into a 2-year exclusivity agreement with Flavorful, whereby Fodjan procures sauces and seasoning only from Flavorful, but at significantly discounted prices. I really think this would be a great deal for Fodjan. Is this good? Is this good?
No.
Did you say it makes business sense? In a business sense, you think it makes sense? Okay, I'll come back to you just now. Let me just take some round of comments from online. Somebody is itching to say something from Teams. Go for it.
Okay, I wanted to say no, it's not.
Okay, who is speaking? Just give me your name first.
Ramiro.
Okay, good. Talk to me, Ramiro.
Okay, I wanted to say it's not good. Why? Because first I note about the significantly discounted prices. We need to consider whether this price will Fodjan still be able to make a profit, and also the decision making as well doesn't have to be made by Katlego, but we need input from other board members as well. And also considering that Katlego is an interested party, like it's got a familiarity threat. There's a familiarity threat between Katlego and Michelle Watson. She might not be objective, so I would not think that she should be very much involved in this as she is right now. Those are my thoughts. Oh, and also in Companies Act requirements, which states that, you know, when a director is involved, should state what they know and their...
but hold on, Ramiro, because now you're talking to me as if you've already been on the day, right? But at this point in time, do you have all that information?
No, that's what's coming into my mind when I read this.
That's what comes into your mind. Okay, so you're saying
Yes.
this could happen. It could go like this. I don't know yet, but this can happen.
Yes,
okay,
I'm
good.
just good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I like it. But the part of significantly discounted prices, you spoke about profitability, but this actually makes them more profitable, isn't it? Because they are buying at a discount. So also reading it line by line is very important.
Oh, she's good.
Go for it, Ramiro. Talk to me.
Okay. All right. Yes, I'd missed that. But however, I'm just thinking it might be significantly discounted price, but would it still meet the quality?
The quality. Okay, good. I like that. I like that thinking. Very good. Very good. You wanted to say something?
Yes. Just to add on, when I read that part, I just thought ethics, because what is good for us needs to be good for other people. So how is this going to impact other people? Are they going to reduce their quality so that they meet these very low prices? Is there something that the other company is going to do so that they can give us these very low prices?
I almost said I love it. I almost said I love it.
And then I read it.
And then you talked about this other company. I almost said I loved it. You know what? The good for self, good for others. And I almost said I love it. And I put the brakes. Why did I put the brakes on that? Who knows? Good point. but there's a way I wanted you to think about it, an angle that I wanted you to attack it from. There was a hand that was up. I think it said Lolo. I missed it. Somebody raised their hand on Teams. Yes. Go for it.
Thought process,
Yes.
right?
You can argue with me. I love arguing. So it's a safe environment.
Ethics is very subjective, if I should say.
Is
But
it?
then it's like it's open for argument, you know, like it's
If you want to serve your self-interest.
yeah,
Yeah.
you get like it's one of those where they say, for example, randomly, I want to donate food 2 days before expiry date to the homeless. Can
Yeah.
argue it's ethical or unethical. It can go both ways, right?
Nah, it's
Like-
either it's moral or it's immoral. It's either it's right or it's wrong.
Yeah, but you can argue it. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's why it's just an example. That's you can argue it. on
Good,
both
but you have
sides.
to look
have
at.
to-
That's why you need the best practice, right? That's why you need. Sorry, sometimes I forget that I'm. That's why you need the best practice. What is good for others, good for self? What is the recommended practice, right? Because even if it's good for you, it might not be good for others, and you need to weigh it out because you've got to be a responsible corporate citizen. You've got to be a responsible citizen, and your citizenship needs to come into play, right? And in this case, I almost said I loved it because there's this statement that says Fodjan enters into a 2-year exclusivity agreement. That means there are other suppliers in play at the moment. So if you wipe them out immediately, it's going good for you, but is it good for them? It's bad for them, right? But to what cost? Now, you said it's good for business.
Yeah, that's why I was going like on a business.
What
sense.
if you enter
It
into
makes
this
sense.
exclusive agreement and you've got one supplier and they give you stuff that doesn't work, or they can't deliver?
Okay,
What
that's-
happens?
That's other qualitative factors.
Risk
Yeah,
management. So you can't have a good governance process without thinking about the risks. So here you have to think about, if we take this, what are the risks involved here? Somebody mentioned quality, right? What if you get the poor quality? What if this supplier doesn't deliver? What if this supplier comes with a bad reputation? Huh? How is that? Or it could be dangerous. Okay, fair point.
When I read this, what came to
Why
mind,
are you shaking? Be confident. You've got this.
I don't know, I just get so anxious. Okay, so this person is like a non-executive director. I don't know if this is valid or not, but non-executive directors are not involved in the day-to-day dealings of a business. They're not supposed
Love
to be.
it.
So I don't know how to then sort of phrase it as to that being a problem, that she shouldn't be involved within the operations of the business because that's not her role. But how do I go about sort of like
Phrasing it.
yes.
Yes. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Good governance says this is the chairperson of the board. You need to be independent. You need to be non-executive. Non-executive means you do not get yourself involved in day-to-day management of the entity. So it's as simple as saying, well, cats should not be involved in the day-to-day management. This is operational decision making, shouldn't be in there. Right. It's different when the CEO and the CFO come to you and say, guys, help us think. Does that make sense? If you've got the points and you put it like that, you probably get the credit.
Okay, thanks, Kumo. Mine is more of we entering into an exclusive 2-year agreement. It feels like single sourcing for me. So I'm thinking, what are the processes, operating procedures, that the procurement process that will be followed by Fodjan if we go this way of now proposing your own way? Then secondly, what I'm picking up is that it's an exclusive agreement. You mentioned that when you are leading ethically, you need to operate in a way where you are transparent and fairness. Will this be fair to other suppliers if you are limiting other people to come in? That's what I'm thinking. I don't know how I can put it, but
yeah, put it all right, because they're not being transparent. Are they going to tell people about why they're being exclusive? But one person can come and tell you that this is a private company, but that's where you then need to rebuff it and say, but best practice says this. You get it? So I recommend that you do it better. Does that make sense? And fairness is important, right? I always give people this. Doesn't mean go back to your employers and say, Kumu said this, eh? I will tell them to delete the video. I never said it. Rather, let me be safe and not say it.
No.
Yeah. Okay, let me not say it. You've got your hand up.
Like defines your good practice. Okay. The reason why I'm asking is because, for example, they can say they're a private company. Like what, you know, with public companies, there's usually like a public interest that holds you accountable to that. But as a private company, is it like, how can you sort of, because you can say it's good practice, but it's like, but yeah, it's like, how does that, what is it going to do for me? Or is it just the concept of you just need to lead ethically? But how do you sort of convince someone that this is good practice? Like, okay, but why? Because if I can do this and still make a profit, what's the difference between, like, what is it about this good practice that is so important that even a private company needs to be sort of held accountable-ish for?
Okay,
What?
I'll give you an example. Say I'm a mining company. Here, this room is a village. You guys are villagers, right? You're staying in this room. This is where you guys farm your stuff. You prepare your food. That's what you eat, right? And I've discovered that underneath what you're farming, there's gold, right? And I come in and I say, I'm investing in this economy. You guys need to move over. I'm going to put you on some other land. And I, what do you call it, displace you, right? Now, you don't have your fertile land that you used to have. You're not even getting the benefits of what belongs to you because this was your land, right? And I don't care. I don't care what you're going to eat, what you're going to feed on. Is that okay? Is that me being a responsible citizen without even compensating you?
But by law, right? If you're going to move me, you need to.
Yes, by law, but
me.
if I don't do it, yes, I haven't complied
Then
with
you're
laws and
against the
regulations.
law,
It's
then.
fine, but in terms of being a responsible citizen, have I done it something that is good for myself and also good for you? Or I've only done something that is good for myself, but bad for you?
If you compensate us,
If I don't.
then if you don't, then, well, you can't move us.
No, but I'm going to move you. Haven't you heard that people have been moved? People have been moved off their ancestral lands. People have gone to court. It has happened. Have you
But
never
in
seen
order
it?
to move us, you need a permit else. So
Yeah, but I could,
And
I could just,
what is it?
you know,
A
these are
petition
people without
from
the
the
knowledge, the
community.
resources. I could just come and bulldoze them and move them. Have I done the right thing?
Sorry to stay on this thing. So is it a thing of, as a business, I have to be considerate of, for example, the planet, people, and the profit, right? Because it's in a sense of my business is dependent upon the sustainability of, for example, the planet, and it's also based upon the customers, meaning that without taking care of the customers, it's not possible for me to
Not just the customers, but it's your whole spectrum of stakeholders, right?
Mhm.
That's why you've got this thing that is coming into play now: environmental, social, and governance, right? ESG, the environment, the society, right? And how you govern, how you make your decisions, right? It's very important. You have to consider your stakeholder, the whole stakeholder spectrum, right? Who are my stakeholders, right? And in this context, there was a slide that you were given in the pre-release that had your stakeholders as well. And you need to think about it, right?
Mm.
So running a business is difficult, right? These days, because everybody's on this ESG thing as well, right? You have to move with the times as well. You have to be a responsible corporate citizen. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
everybody thinks about the profit, but is that clean profit?
Is it sustainable?
And is it sustainable? I like it. I like the word sustainable.
So, okay. So technically your ethics eventually determine the sustainability of your business.
Looks like that's
why
where the world is going.
That's where it's so important that okay.
People don't talk about financial statements only anymore. Love it. Team that is on Teams. I need to learn to use this tablet. So Courage says, hi Kumu, why did we interpret exclusivity in this case as Fodjan will only be supplied by Flavorful and stops getting supply from other suppliers? What if it's Flavorful who is mandated to supply solely to Fodjan without restricting Fodjan's other suppliers? I am trying to understand the application of good for self, good for others there. What if it's Flavorful who is mandated to supply solely to Fodjan without restricting Fodjan's other suppliers? No, that doesn't make sense, Courage, because they say, yesterday I had a conversation with Michelle that ended up with a proposal that I think has the potential to be really beneficial to Fodjan. The proposal is that Fodjan enters into a 2-year exclusivity agreement with Flavorful, whereby Fodjan procures sauces and seasoning only from Flavorful. Yeah, I see your point. But this means that they're only buying from one supplier. So it's not Flavorful only selling to Fodjan, but we're clearly told that they're only buying from a sole supplier. Does that make sense, Courage? I hope so. Okay, let me move on because time is flying. I haven't gotten into the IOD. Okay, now let's see the crux of the matter here. Of course, when I wear my RAC hat, now you see that conflict is coming. It is important for me to point out that such a supplier contract would likely result in better profits for Fodjan and ultimately dividend payments for the RAC so that it can repay its own funders as soon as possible. After all, we shouldn't forget that first and foremost, I am here by virtue of being a nominee director representing RAC's interests. I'll be in touch soon with more details. Now, this is Kets, right? Kets clearly has got conflict here, and Kets is not objective. I did give you the triggers in your reflection video. I'm not going to work through them, but I wanted you to think about Principle 1, Principle 7 of King 4. I wanted you to think about directors acting other than at a meeting in Section 74 of the Companies Act, because Kets could have made a decision in a golf session with Michelle, right? So that was important. And of course, the key question, will Kets have a personal financial interest? Will Section 75 be applicable? Then you think about Kets' fiduciary duties, Section 76, standards of directors' conduct, right? Acting in the best interest of the entity, acting in good faith, acting in, come on guys, acting with a degree of care, skill, and due diligence, right? Expected at the level of the director. Likewise, Principle 1 of King 4 says the exact same thing. And for, I do understand, I also have candidates that in Zimbabwe, Section 54 of the Companies and Other Business Entities Act will tell you the same thing, right? So that is very, very, very important. Now, also, we spoke about board composition. We spoke about stakeholder relationships, and this is where it comes into play. Adopting a stakeholder inclusive approach. You see that? Very important. Now let's get to the IOD. The story continues. Your boss emails you again. Please see follow-up email from Kets. I've had some time to consider this deal, and a couple of things have popped up for me as red flags. Primarily, that is that this is too good to be true. Now the questions start, right? So what are the issues? Why would this person question this? So should I be questioning? However, there are a couple of other things that aren't sitting too well with me. Now the problem starts. Now you're thinking, okay, is this an ethics question or must I evaluate something? Let's see what's further down. I want to make sure I address any issues with Kets before we go into the board meeting. I want to be sure that I've got everything covered. She's a great chairperson and has always been. Now you're being reminded, guys, this person is the chairperson of the board. Do you see that reminder? Don't take it for granted. You might have forgotten from your IOD, but you're being reminded. Is willing to listen and consider different views. So I'm confident that I can address any issues with her, just as a sense check for myself to make sure I've covered everything. I would like some input from you on the deal as a new person to the company who has no preconceived notions of anything or anyone. So give me a straight view, right? Don't tell me I haven't had time to think about it. I want to know what you think about it, right? Now, my simple question to you is, now this is the task, guys. What potential issues, right? And it's clear for Fodjan. Courage, not for flavorful, for Fodjan. Are you there, Courage? Do you see with the proposals below? Okay, so still you haven't read. Now you know that the crux of the matter is in the next part of the email. Now let's break it down. Picking up from my previous email, I've discussed favorable terms with Flavorful that I think should meet the satisfaction of our board as well. What is wrong with this? Are you happy? Are you celebrating here? We've got a favorable term here. What is wrong with this? We've discussed the terms already, okay? Sure, but why is that wrong? But why is that wrong? I'm not convinced.
Wait.
Why is that wrong? Guys on Teams, guys online, I haven't forgotten about you. Why is it wrong? Why is that first statement wrong? So why is it wrong? Why is it wrong?
I mean, there was no resolution passed. Okay.
Now you're getting somewhere, you know. I like your thinking now, right? Because you gave me a fact. No, not a fact. You gave me your way of thinking that this is wrong. But you need to back that up in our world of work. You can't come and tell me I've done something wrong and you don't back it up. So why?
Gave her the authority to represent the board, which is sort of made.
Now, no, but this person is a director.
She's a director. She's a non-executive.
Huh?
She's a, there's people that have been given like power authority by the board to act on behalf of.
Yeah.
With the
So
company.
yeah. So what I'm looking for, I said it a couple of slides ago. Okay, yes, he's not doing that, but she's not doing that, but that's not the issue. The issue is director acting other than at a meeting, right? They've made decisions somewhere where they were. Section 74 of the Companies Act. Right? So you had a very good point. You had a very good point. But they've made the decision. So why is it wrong to make the decision already? Because now you haven't done that. Now it doesn't need a special resolution. It needs to be ratified by a majority decision of the other directors. Right. Section 74. Are you with me?
So now the issue is non-compliant with the Companies Act.
And now you've got a big problem. If I tell you a registered auditor and you're auditing this person, are you thinking of something? A potential irregularity, it could happen, right? But you need to prove that they breached their fiduciary duty. And that's where your section 76 comes into play. Are they acting in the best interest? Are they acting in good faith?
Acting other than section 74 is now triggered 76 automatically.
And also triggers principle 1 of King 4, right?
And also going to reckless trading.
No, so reckless trading is a very confused definition. No, not everything is reckless trading, right? Because with reckless trading, you have to say somebody has either acted with gross negligence or they have acted with the intent to defraud somebody. You have to be very careful. There's a fine line between 76 and 22. Very fine line. Yeah, go for it. I want to hear it. You look so passionate about it. Tell me.
Okay, so according to the definition, right, of reckless trading, if we had to read further into this thing, there is some sort of, what's this? Not conflict of interest, but conflict of interest. Because Katlego is part of RAC, and RAC actually
I like what you're saying, and I like your analytical mind, but I want you to hold it for when we get to where we say don't tell others.
yeah,
Right?
going.
Okay, good. I like you to hold on to it. Right. Okay, good. So we established here that this person might not have the authority to make that decision. And then Notable says, but in Kate's mind, she's acting in the best interest of Fodjan. Can we therefore speak about acting in the best interest at all? Yes, we can speak about it, because even though she's acting in the best interest of Fodjan, Kate is also talking about also benefiting from an RIAC perspective. But with doing that, Kate is causing Fodjan not to comply with the Companies Act. And that's not in the best interest of Fodjan at all. Right? Very important. So one thing I'll tell you guys, don't be the advocate when you get the case study. Don't be the advocate of this person on the day and try and defend kids. Right? Don't try to be the advocate. Right? Are you with me, guys? Explore the concerns you have, because you are being asked clearly, what are the potential issues? Don't go and defend. Tell me the potential issues. All right. Now, this was also made easier. No. Am I here? Yes. This was also made easier by the fact that RAC has finally signed a deal with Flavorful to acquire a significant equity stake there. So definitely there's no objectivity. There's conflict of interest. Now, best practice, King 4, Principle 1, directors must avoid conflict of interest, right? So it's very important. And then, do they have a personal financial interest? Yeah, it's very possible, right? Therefore, shouldn't be part of the decision making, right? Should declare these interests to the other directors. Section 70. Good. I think that's the section that made me pass my exams. I was lucky they examined that. Okay. So now we're told therein wanted to tell you last week but couldn't due to confidentiality clauses. Now this person is not transparent. You see that? You want me to make a decision, you give me half information even though you know. Right? You look annoyed by this person. Or is it me? Why is it? Yeah, find your weakest link. No, they do that, people in real life, right? You find your weakest link, or you think that if people hear it from the CFO, they'll be like, yeah, let's do it, right? You have to think about, when you think about fraud, what are you thinking of? Think about the environment, that triangle, the fraud triangle, the incentives, opportunities, and rationalization, right? You're seeing an opportunity. You're rationalizing, you're seeing the tone at the top already. So you think, yeah, this can happen, right? Then this person also has an incentive because they're going to benefit.
That confidentiality thing, right? So given that REC is the shareholder, right? And something about the related parties. So if they're acquiring a stake in another company, does that not need to be disclosed?
Yes, you
because
need
they
to
become
disclose because we
related
also need to
parties?
know, right?
Yes.
Good, I love it. Love it. Okay. I don't see any other thoughts from the team side. Now, it's really important that the deal between Fodjan and Flavorful goes through. Really important. This must tell you something, right? Open your eyes. Open your eyes as you're reading. It will generally increase Flavorful's chances of obtaining other supplier contracts, because of having a customer as well known as Fodjan. Right, you see now there's an interest there. It might not be a financial interest, but you can see that there's another interest, right? And from an RAC perspective or RAC perspective, it is important for me to ensure that all RAC's investments do well. Now, from my discussions with Michelle, they've agreed already, that these special prizes would only be for Fodjan and would not be disclosed to the rest of the market. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about this?
Isn't that not acting in good faith and best of the company?
Okay. Not acting in good faith, not acting in the best interests. Is that you, Shumani? You want to tell me more?
No.
You have to, Shumani. Tell me more.
Okay, she's not acting the good faith of the company because she suggests that this price will only be for Fodjan and will not be disclosed to the rest of the market, including the franchises.
Okay, so just think a moment about financial accounting. Is there something that pops into your mind when you read this statement? I know I'm not Arson.
Disclosure.
I understand that.
Related party transaction. No.
Right. Must be at arm's length, right? From an audit perspective, what does that trigger? ISO 550, right? Now you're thinking, well, hold on. What is the risk of fraud that comes from these transactions that are not at arm's length? Does that make sense? Do you see how you think about audits? It's just not about governance, huh? Okay, but anyway, including our franchises to whom we on-sell these items. I see this proposal as a big win for Fodjan, as I think they were very deliberate to call it Fodjan, eh? Want to forge stuff, as we would make a big saving on purchasing these items from Flavorful while still selling them to the Fodjan's franchises at our usual prices, thereby significantly increasing our margins. Now you're thinking about your stakeholders. I think we shouldn't bother with the usual procurement process as the supplier quota. I think you would love this. You talked about supply chain, right? Floating procurement processes. Is that good governance? It's breaking your own policies. It's not, right? In my view, is a clear win. So we can just go straight to the board and pitch the arrangement. So now look what happens after that. Pulling somebody and say, let's go. What do they say? Please include this deal as an item on the agenda for the next board meeting. Okay, good, I'll put it. And then they say, and be prepared to take the rest of the board through this. Now they're going into the background. Have you ever seen that that Simpsons meme, going into the hedge, disappearing? Have you seen it? That's what they're doing here now, right? I'll get the CEO of Flavorful to draft a proposal and send it directly to you so that it's not seen as coming through me. And this person is not being transparent. Now, you want to mislead people intentionally, right? I wouldn't want anyone to think that this is not a legitimate arm's length deal, but it's not, right? Is it? It's not being provided to everyone. So you must be telling this person, but well, it's not, right? These are the issues you need to be raising. I'll obviously vote in favor, but it's important. But then you must be telling you can't be voting because you already have conflict, right? that we get this over the line with the rest of the board. See you at the board meeting. Now, what was the task? Respond to Elijah's email regarding cats. I would like some input from you on the deal as a new person to the company who has no preconceived notions. So yeah, no matter what I think about cats, you want a fresh mind to it. My simple question to you is, what are the potential issues? What potential issues do you see with the proposals below from cats? And we've sort of like talked about them now, right? I see somebody's posting the meme of the Sims. So you guys are missing out. Are you on Teams? I love it. You see. Okay, guys online. Any questions? Any thoughts before I talk about the marking grid and how this thing was marked? I've got somebody asking here already.
Okay, thanks, Kum. My thing is just on the D here. The point 1 and 2. Is it like 2 tasks that this guy is asking, or is just saying my simple question to you is what potential? So I just need to focus on the what potential issues.
So they want input from you, but that input must be focused on the potential issues, right? My simple question to you is, what are the potential issues? They didn't tell you in terms of the Companies Act. They didn't tell you in terms of best practice. They didn't tell you in terms of IFRS, right? What are the issues that are coming out here? And you need to be clear. It's the things that are clear from this. You can't go too far, right? You can't start talking about, so how are you going to account for fair value measurement in IFRS 18, right? Very important. The chat is very quiet, guys. So let's see. Somebody says, would NOCLA be a relevant consideration in relation to keeping the special prices away from the market? Now, you have to be very, very careful. When you say NOCLA, in what context? I would actually wish you would unmute and talk to me. Tyler? You have to unmute and talk to me. Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
Chelom's here. So the direction that I was actually thinking with regards to NOCLA is keeping the prices away from the market and the franchisees. Wouldn't that be in contravention of the Competition Act?
Okay, you're thinking about competition law, okay? But I just want to hear more when you say NOCLA. Please give me more context. What is the action you're expecting here?
In terms of being transparent with the prices that are given to Fodjan, shouldn't all the other market participants be also be privy to such prices?
So if you find that that is wrong, what is going to happen?
Non-compliance with the competition laws.
Okay, and the question is, so what?
Non-compliance with laws and regulations.
You see, that's a secular reference. You're not telling me why that is a problem. Do you see that? You leave the exam saying, I killed this, I nailed this, but you haven't actually hit the nail on its head. Somebody wants to help you here.
Not to help, but
steer them in the right direction.
I'm thinking of, for example, they spoke about how the prices are not basically market related. So from a tax perspective, there's a possibility that there's adjustments that sort of, need to take place, or maybe there's a risk that they're not complying.
Are you thinking as far as corporate rules? Let's not go deep there. I'm not ready, but yes, I hear you. But what I'm looking for is, if you say they're going to not comply with laws and regulations, they're breaching their fiduciary duty, right? To comply with laws and regulations. Very important. So Tyler, I like it. I'm just scrolling through here. Courage says questionable ethical tone. Okay, I like it. These guys are full of jokes here. What is this reference, Courage? I can't even see it. Litigation and fiduciary duty. Yeah, you see, it's a litigation risk. You could be in trouble, right? I like that. I like that, Nkosi. Great stuff. We still have time. We still have 30 minutes, right, guys? So how was this task assessed?
Kumu, before you go to the marking grid, I just wanted to understand that. So NOCLA, is it that thing that where I need to take that I need to comply with? We just don't want to dump, right? So, but we want to go back to say, if all these things are happening, what duty does who is this guy that is writing an email to me have?
Oh, I mean Elijah.
Elijah.
What duty?
Or else myself also, if these things goes through, or as the proposal.
So if Elijah doesn't stop this thing, Elijah could find themselves liable in terms of Section 77. Things go wrong. Because now Elijah is aware. If this slips through, it's a problem, right? So they've got a duty, a fiduciary duty to make sure that the company complies with the Companies Act and puts Kets in her place.
So I need to tell him now that.
Tell Kets and also make sure that the board knows, right? You can't? Some be snitches. Hey, be careful, hey? Sometimes you need to be, but don't tell people, right?
So I didn't tell him that.
You can just send like an anonymous spotlight and tell someone.
Yeah. Or something, or say I'm off sick.
Oh no, this director has got a duty to make sure that other directors know about things that are going to go wrong in the business. I don't have to be anonymous about it because somebody brought it on my table that made it my baby. So I must speak up.
So if
must do the right thing. Now you've told me I'm a CA and you know that now I need to apply the CPC, right? There is NOCLA here. Firstly, because I'm a junior accountant, I need to raise it in terms of the policies at the entity. So now I need to apply them. Where am I going to raise it? If the person that is above me is involved, then I must think about the next person. And if I need to go externally, I need to go externally, right? I need to apply it.
So that is coming through my input.
You're thinking about it. It could happen because now you're telling this person, now you've made me aware, you need to action this. If you don't, I'll need to action it.
Wow. Thank you.
Does that make sense? In the most polite of ways. Okay. Guys on Teams are only concerned about the 30 minutes that I said when I was joking. We are not. Kari says your comment on NOCLA concurs with the comment in a 2017 paper. It was blunt. The reference to NOCLA appears to be an attempt to impress markers as opposed to a well-considered action. I'm not sure I'm following. Courage, unmute and expand. If I said a blunt point, what are you saying? Help me here.
Hi, Kumo.
Yebo.
Good. Also, I'm just agreeing to your comment. I'm just making my reconciliation here to say, just mentioning NOCLA without a well-considered action. So there was need to say more context than just mentioning NOCLA. So okay. I'm agreeing with your point here. Okay, thanks.
All right, guys. I think from the venue here, we just have a technical issue we're fixing on what is it called? On Teams. We'll just be back just now. Just give us a second, please. Can you guys hear me? Why do I have?
We went to bed,
Yes.
Umu.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys still hear me nicely? Because now I had feedback. It's fine now, eh? Good. All right. Where were we? We were. These are not my slides, are they? Okay. We spoke about identifying the conflict of interest, right? This person was conflicted, right? Identifying it, guys. Doesn't even say explain it. So it's easy as I've identified there's a conflict of interest here because of the following, right? Mentioning that Katz has to recuse herself. What did we say? Not taking part in the decision, right? Suggesting that Katz should not be involved in the day-to-day operations. And I think you spoke about it now and again, right? They shouldn't be involved in managing the business. Identifying that Katz is possibly not complying with her fiduciary. I think you guys are not tired of this word, right? Due to the reasons she states as primary for her wanting the deal. Identifies bypassing of procurement processes. You get your point, right?
Point 1 to 5 are things that we raised in the pre-release.
You see, this was, this task for me was, guys, I know you're tired. It's the end of the day. Just write something and pass, right?
I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
The task is asking for like potential issues for the group, right? So
Potential
something like
issues?
potential issues for the company.
Yes.
And then something like section 75. So I want to know like who's responsible, who's liable.
Right.
For
Now remember what I said is if a director does not comply with a certain part of the Companies Act, that means that Fodjan hasn't complied. And that's a problem, right? That's an issue for the company. Reputational damage also comes with that, right? Not complying with competition law can lose you millions of rands, right? These are things that are coming. Identifies that contract as currently proposed may be unfair to franchises or reputational damage. We spoke about this, right? Raises points for board to consider regarding quality and status. Somebody spoke about quality online, right? Risks of using a single supplier. You guys will never forget this one, right? Somebody spoke about competition law. Now, if you address these things, you're likely going to get a C in this task, right? Were they difficult points to raise? You guys knew these, right? I'm marking everybody who's left the conversation online, by the way. I will know you. All right. Then you've got, of course, your communication skills. I don't want to go through that. And this was one of the simplest tasks to get HC, right? Look at that. Raises the point about stakeholder inclusivity approach. Talk about principle 16. Board composition. That stuff we talked about. And that's pretty much it. You see governance in a different way, guys. Hectic times. But can you do this? Is it difficult? Under pressure. Okay, I've got a question there. It's a
bad question.
No, say that again. It's a
It's not a good question.
It's a bad question.
It's a question that shouldn't be asked, but
Oh no, in my session, there's never a bad question.
I wanted to know, is it true? Is it true that if you fail an ethics question, you fail the exam? Is that true? So and what is considered fail? Must it be a C, or can I land on a BC and still make it?
I think that the correct answer is make sure you get at least a BC, right? I really don't want to answer that, but approach every task with the objective of making sure you get enough primary indicators, right? Don't worry about if I fail this one, I failed the whole thing, right? Change the mindset. I want to pass this task, so I need enough primary indicators.
Did not pick up the issues. So if you did not see the ethical issue, are you doomed?
It's possible. I don't know. It's possible because you need to pick up the ethical issues, right? As a CA. Okay. There's a hand online. Okay, but I don't see whose hand it is. And I love what Nolo says. We don't want BCs. We want Cs. We want HCs, right? Good. Where's the hand, guys?
Hi,
Leslie.
hello, how are you?
Yeah, Bo? I'm
Hi,
good. How
hi.
are you?
I'm all right. I just need clarification on just one item. Our required said
Hey, there's no required
discuss
in APC, but talk to me. I know what you mean.
our task. Our task mentioned that we discuss potential issues, or we highlight potential issues. And
Yeah.
looking at the marking grid, we are discussing mainly like ethical concerns, if I may say. What was wrong with thinking IFRS, with thinking tax, with thinking strategy, and so on? Like why was it not a thing to think about possible IFRS implications of this transaction?
Yeah, but where would that, in the context of this task, in the context of governance, where would that land you?
For my IFRS, I was thinking the RAC had 20% stake in us. Then they went on to acquire a significant interest in this supplier, and messing up all things with regards to related party transactions and so on. Like, I thought this is something we would want to highlight, considering we're now saying that we are not going to be disclosing this too.
So can I tell you something? What you've
Yes.
done here is you've just told me a story. You did not tell me why that is an issue. In the context of this, we want to know the potential issues, because you were told in the email that I am concerned. I don't like something that is happening here. So what are those issues? So what don't you like about having IFRS accounting in there? Do you get me? So what is the issue there? Yeah, you told me that it could be a complex accounting issue, but so what, right? Why would I be concerned about that?
Disclosures with regards to.
But what have you seen in the task that tells you that disclosures about this are going to be an issue?
The part where they are saying that we are not mentioning that we are getting in discounts from the supplier.
But good, I like it. But now you're going into the accounting, but you're missing the fundamental aspect of it to say, oh, hold on, in terms of governance, I need to be transparent first and foremost. Then if you tell me IFRS and you're telling me I'm not going to disclose, that means you're telling me I'm not going to comply with Section 29 of the Companies Act, where I must apply the IFRS. Then that's a different thing altogether. You're still telling me governance. So you need to close the loop. Don't just tell me that IFRS will be an issue. What is the issue? Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. I'm
I
clear.
hope you remember my voice when you're writing.
Definitely. Thank
Good.
you.
Awesome. Right, guys. I don't want to take any more time, but I am happy to take questions. You are welcome to drop off if you want to go to bed. I think we're done with our task. I hope it was helpful. I'll just stay around for 5 minutes for those that want to ask me questions, and then I will let everybody go. Are the numbers going to drop online, guys? Yeah, they're leaving the conversation, Shane.
Hi, Kamu.
Hello.
So I want to ask in general on ethic questions.
Yes.
How am I supposed to? I'm failing to understand. How am I supposed to think? I've tried to do past exam papers, trying to see a trend of how am I supposed to think on the day of exam, but I'm failing to do that.
Right, so there's one thing you need to understand. There's a difference between ethics and governance. If you're able to split the two in your thinking, then it's easy to score the credits, right? Because from a governance, you're thinking about how you're managing the company. Ethics, you're thinking about how you're doing the right or wrong, what's good, what's bad, what's moral, what's immoral. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So how then, okay, for example, given this question, how do I come up to a conclusion to say this is ethically wrong? Maybe let's say it's non-compliance with Companies Act, or maybe it's not a recommended practice according to King 4. Like, how am I supposed to arrive at a decision to say this is not ethically correct? Is it because I've seen that to earn a mark, you need to say why.
Okay. No, it's not a mark, a credit. But
okay, a credit, yeah.
Can I tell you something? If you get to a conclusion to say this does not align to best practice, best practice tells me I need to disclose my interests, right? So therefore, that makes it morally wrong, right? To not disclose. Does that make sense? Are you with me? Because now I'm looking to enrich myself. I'm looking to not act in good faith, right? Does that make sense? Now that is wrong. Why? Firstly, best practice tells you don't do that. Secondly, laws and regulations tell you not to do that. Does that make sense? Now, how are you benefiting the company? Because as a director, you're supposed to act in the best interest of the company. Now, if you look after your own interest and don't care what happens to the rest of the side of the company, then that's a wrong decision, right? Does that make sense?
My why should be linked to King 4, like recommended practice.
Not necessarily King 4. It depends on the context. It could be good for self, good for others. It could be other ethical principles, right? It could be other ethical theories. It could be laws and regulations as well. Or if it's a CA involved, it could be CPC as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does now. So my why should be any ethical principle or King 4 recommendations or Companies Act requirements. Or
yes. And you need to look at it in the context of the case study and the task.
Okay, clear.
Awesome. Guys, I need to let you guys go now. So I think we're done here.
We have questions there.
Okay. Can I allow this last question then? Okay, I don't see the chat now. It's locked, guys, so I don't see it. So talk to me.
Chat.
Read the chat. I don't see the chat. That's what's happening.
Someone asked and said, I know you may have covered this somewhere, but how do we word the stakeholder inclusive approach in this case? Because they say they chose not to comply with the King 4. I think that's the one from the PRI.
Okay. So they say don't leave yet. He will
Don't
share
worry
the
about
link
that
to
one.
Okay. Anyway, stakeholder inclusive approach, principle 16. You are told that we want to now have a sole supplier. What about the other suppliers? They are stakeholders, right? Does that make sense? So are you being inclusive by being exclusive? Are you with me there? Notable. I hope that makes sense, guys. Guys, there are people that are looking at me saying, I want to go now.
No, Kumu,
Don't
but we
worry,
have
we're still
no. They
here.
can go. It's fine. We're still here.
When you
Okay.
can stay there alone, it's fine.
Okay. All right, guys. Any other question? Looks like there are no other questions in the chat. So where are the questions?
Wait, please repeat what you said about.
Okay,
ethics.
who's speaking now? I'm good. Yeah, Notable. Okay,
It's-
talk to me, Notable.
It's Nolo.
Oh, Nolo. Sorry, talk to
Yes.
me.
So I was asking if you could please repeat what you said about ethics versus governance.
Okay, governance. How you run the business, how you make decisions. Ethics. It's about that decision being moral or immoral. It's about that decision being good for someone, bad for someone, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks you.
Okay, awesome. Any other question, guys?
Hi, Kumu.
Yebo, who's this now?
My name is Kutsi.
Yes, Kudzi, go for it.
Yeah, so there is a question that was asked prior where someone was saying, how do I communicate to the CEO when the CEO is acting unethically? At the same time, I'm not going to be fired, like the tone that I'm supposed to be using.
Yeah.
How do we do it in an appropriate way?
Yeah, you need to hedge your risk, eh? Okay, just think about it in real life. If your boss is doing something you don't like, what do you do, Kudzi?
Yeah, there is always a thin line between telling him that I'm not comfortable and you getting fired. So what I would do from my end, I would try to use the language that is more polite as much as possible, to such an extent that it will reach to him. At the same time, it's not offensive.
Yeah, and don't accuse him of things, right? Use the factual things, right? Very important. Very, very important. Okay, anything else, guys? Suko says resign, Kudzi. Anything else, guys? You've got something to say? Sorry? Yes, for sure. The class is dismissed. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you being here. I see they say we need to wrap up. I mean, we closed the session a long time ago, right? It was just those guys that wanted to ask questions. All right, guys, cheers. All the best. It was nice talking to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kumu.